My husband Zachary declared, "If you go on that beach trip with him, it's over between us." I went anyway, posting a bikini photo with my best friend. Returning home, I found his side of the closet empty. That's when I realized I hadn't just crossed a boundary. I'd shattered my marriage. I'm Paisley, 29 years old, still grappling with how an entire life could crumble over a foolish weekend at the beach. Zachary and I were married for 4 years. Most days we were content. We had our small, gradually renovating home, stable jobs, and a fairly ordinary life. He worked in project management, often requiring travel, while I held a steady office job, ensuring our finances were covered. We weren't wealthy, but we lived comfortably. I thought our bond was solid until Austin unexpectedly became a problem. Austin and I have been friends since our sophomore year of college. We even dated briefly before meeting Zachary. It was fleeting, nothing serious, and naturally ended. I never felt the need to share this with Zachary. It seemed irrelevant and a potential source of unnecessary drama. Austin had always been a reliable confidant, that friend I turned to when I needed to vent or simply unwind without complications. Our circle has a tradition of gathering at Myrtle Beach every summer, a custom dating back to college. Somehow, despite everyone's growing up, getting married, and having children, this tradition has endured. It's the one thing I look forward to each year. 3 days of carefree relaxation with people who genuinely know me. But this year, Zachary began to make insinuations. For months, he subtly hinted at my closeness with Austin, interpreting casual messages as something more. A late-night message from Austin would provoke a dramatic sigh from Zachary. "What does Austin want now?" Or a venomous remark, "You practically glow when he calls." I just rolled my eyes and brushed it off, but the tension escalated. 2 weeks before our trip, while we were dining, Zachary blurted out, "You shouldn't go to Myrtle Beach this year." I initially laughed it off, thinking it was a joke. When I realized his seriousness, I was stunned. He claimed he didn't like the energy between me and Austin, whatever that meant. He had the audacity to say it was inappropriate. In 4 years of marriage, I'd never once betrayed Zachary. Hearing this accusation, my blood boiled. The argument intensified. I countered by highlighting our friendship, existing long before he entered my life. His response revealed he'd snooped through my phone while I was in the shower. There was nothing significant, just inside jokes and planning our trip details. But Zachary was upset by a message where Austin expressed excitement about seeing me in my new bikini, a bikini I had shown to everyone in our group chat. Zachary treated this as some secret code. He delivered the ultimatum. If I went on that trip with Austin, our relationship was over. My marriage of 4 years, a carefully constructed edifice, crumbled before my very eyes. It all began with a simple desire: 3 days of beach bliss with lifelong friends. For a fleeting 5 minutes, I contemplated abandoning the trip, a flicker of doubt touching my resolve. But the more I pondered, the more resentment swelled. Who did he think he was, testing me, demanding that I choose between him and my joy? Independence had always been a prized quality. He'd lauded it in the early days. Now it was a liability, a fault. I made my decision. I would not be controlled. Bags packed, a final message dispatched. I was leaving, and we could discuss his lack of trust upon my return. As I departed, he barely glanced up from his phone. No farewell, no parting words. A wound, palpable. Yet I held my head high. I hoped he'd reconsider his actions and see the folly of his behavior while I was away. Never could I have foreseen that a weekend at the beach would spark such a transformative event, an event that would fundamentally alter the course of my life. A whisper, barely audible, hinted at the foreboding truth. Perhaps, just perhaps, I had been fully aware of my actions when I shared that photo, but I wasn't ready to embrace that truth. The drive to Myrtle Beach should have been serene, but my mind raced, perpetually checking my phone. Not a message from Zachary, not a call, nothing. I tried convincing myself that everything would be fine, that it was better this way. Yet, reality, sharp and undeniable, pierced through my defenses. 4 years. 4 years of shared moments, and he couldn't even muster a simple, "Take care." I channeled my frustration, turning up the volume on the radio, pushing him from my thoughts. Arriving at the beachfront house, Austin, already there, sat on the porch with a beer in hand. A warm embrace, a comforting, "Proud of you for coming." His words sent shivers of warmth down my spine. He helped with my luggage, updating me on arrivals and weekend plans. The house, as always, was a little worn around the edges, but utterly perfect. 6 bedrooms, ocean views, a sprawling deck. Tiffany, a mutual friend, shot a sidelong glance as I entered, and Zachary's reaction remained an intriguing puzzle. "He's over her," I retorted, rolling my eyes. Tiffany wasn't entirely convinced. That first night, the traditional beach bonfire unfolded. Someone mentioned Zachary's absence, and my defense mechanisms kicked in. He doesn't control me. Perhaps I'd spoken a bit too loudly. Austin, his face serious, nodded. Paisley has always been independent. That's what makes her who she is. His words resonated deeply. A validation I hadn't received from Zachary in months. Drinks flowed freely. With each glass, I found myself drawn closer to Austin, sharing laughter, placing a comforting hand on his arm. Late into the night, he suggested a quick dip in the ocean. Most of the group had dispersed, but the moonlit ocean, irresistible, called to us. We plunged in, clad in our dinner clothes, the icy water invigorating. A childlike joy pulsed through me as I pushed aside anxieties, leaving behind my worries. Returning home, I checked my phone again, but still no word from Zachary. I then posted on Facebook, a short statement. Sometimes the people who claim to love you most are the ones who try to clip your wings. I included a photo of a sunset over the beach. Likes started pouring in. The next day, things spiraled out of control. We spent the morning at the beach, and I decided to wear my new bikini, the daring one Austin had commented on. I felt confident, everyone taking photos. Austin suggested we take one together. He pulled me close, his hand a little lower than it should have been, pressing against me. The camera clicked, and something shifted between us. Later, after too many margaritas at the beach bar, Austin and I ended up alone on the deck. He confessed that he'd always wondered what would have happened if we'd given our relationship at college a real chance. Instead of changing the subject, I confessed that I had wondered about that too. One thing led to another, and we ended up in his room. We didn't have sex, a line I'd carefully drawn in my head, but what happened certainly crossed boundaries. I tried to justify it. It wasn't really infidelity since we hadn't gone all the way. A convenient, foolish argument I conjured to ease my guilt. That night, feeling impulsive, and perhaps wanting to hurt Zachary as he had hurt me with his ultimatum, I posted a photo of myself in a bikini, embraced by Wynn. The caption read, "Making memories with the people who truly matter. Beach vibes, best friends." Then I turned off my phone. I didn't want to see Zachary's reaction. Part of me knew I'd crossed a line, but a bigger part felt vindicated. He wanted to control me. My response was apparent. The drive home felt unending, each mile a burden. Sunday morning, my phone exploded with notifications, comments on the photo, messages from mutual friends, but nothing from Zachary. Absolute silence. And that silence hurt more than if he had sent an angry message before leaving the beach. Tiffany pulled me aside, saying, "I hope this post was worth it." Those words echoed in my mind during the entire journey. When I parked in our driveway, I sensed something was amiss. Zachary's car was there, but the house held an unsettling, heavy atmosphere. I called out his name but received no reply. That's when I saw it. His closet was half empty, drawers open, only my things inside. My heart pounded. I rushed through the house. In the kitchen, a note. "I'm staying at Jake's. We need to talk. Not today." I called him immediately, left a message, then just collapsed onto the kitchen floor, sobbing until my breath failed. He only showed up the next day. I had barely slept, spending the night rehearsing every possible conversation. Zachary, upon entering the kitchen, was a stark contrast to the Zachary I knew. He was composed, cool, settling into a chair as if a stranger. Then, he inquired, his voice devoid of emotion, "How was the outing with Austin?" I retorted, "Don't act like I've committed a crime. You cornered me with that ultimatum." He pulled his phone from his pocket, displaying my photograph. "This," he stated, his voice restrained, "isn't just a beach picture, Paisley. This is you attempting to hurt me, to humiliate me." He then scrolled, revealing comments from friends, queries about his whereabouts, and Austin's responses laced with emoticons. People I barely knew weighed in. "You exposed our problems for the entire world to see," he accused. "You wanted everyone to witness you diminishing me." I countered, "You were snooping through my phone." He rubbed his eyes as if weary. "This isn't about Austin anymore," he said, his voice drained. "Then what is it?" I asked, losing patience. "It's about respect, Paisley. About pushing me to my limits with your playful teasing of other guys, excluding me from your friend group, pretending to be the victim whenever we fight." His gaze held a profound disappointment. Seeing that photo, I understood what had transpired with Austin. A chilling realization washed over me. Instinctively, I denied it. "Nothing happened," I lied. "Don't lie to me," he countered, cutting me off. "Kate saw you leaving Austin's room at 2 a.m. She messaged me, worried." I felt cornered. We didn't sleep together, I insisted. This isn't infidelity. Zachary regarded me as if incredulous. Do you truly believe that anything aside from sex is acceptable with another guy? He asked, dubious. It wasn't premeditated, I defended. And if you hadn't been so controlling, none of this would have occurred. He responded, his voice low but firm. Enough with placing the blame on me. I'm heading to Jake's house. I need space to think. He rose to depart. Are you exaggerating? My voice trembled with panic. It wasn't meant to be like this. I returned, but perhaps physically I'm not present in this relationship, nor am I. The fault lies with both of us. As he left, I had a profound sense of miscalculation, that what I perceived as a game of wills, a contest to see who would concede first, was, in reality, the end of something I wasn't yet prepared to lose. After Zachary's departure, the bomb truly exploded. I foolishly opened Facebook. My bikini post had become a social event. Common friends posted messages of support for Zachary. Even my cousin Amber, whom I considered part of the crowded team, commented, "Strength," accompanied by a heart emoji, as if I were the villain of the story. I wept. I called my mother, outlining my side of the story. Zachary's controlling behavior, the absurd ultimatum, my mere desire for a weekend with friends. Initially, she sided with me, promising to speak with him. Zachary has always been so level-headed, she said, implying it must be a misunderstanding. Yet 3 days later, Zachary's voice, usually warm, had taken on a completely different tone. Her words were sharp, cutting. "What did you do with Austin?" she demanded, her voice laced with disbelief. "Paisley, I raised you better than this." She launched into a tirade about wedding vows, respect, and propriety. I tried to explain my technical breach, that we hadn't had sex, but she practically slammed the phone down. Even my own mother was judging me. To make matters worse, a jarring encounter followed with Austin's girlfriend, Megan. I hadn't seen her since our trip, as she'd been unavailable due to work. I was at the grocery store adding items to my cart when she appeared. A glacial stare met mine. "So, Paisley," she uttered, her smile a painful mockery, "how was the beach?" Austin had described the weekend as lively. My stomach plummeted. "Fun, as always," I mumbled. She scrutinized me, head to toe. "Austin filled me in on your extracurricular activities," she said, leaning in. A chilling whisper escaped her lips. "Just so you know." Austin chuckled, then added that I seemed to think it meant something. But for him, it was just Paisley being Paisley. I felt a slap to the face. "He's my friend," I argued weakly. "No, sweetheart," she countered. "He's my boyfriend. And you were a married woman who should know better." She shoved her cart aside and walked away. Or rather, a married woman. I heard whispers that Zachary was filing for divorce. My heart lurched. She had to be lying, trying to hurt me. But when I got home, I accessed the shared laptop with Zachary. Browsing the browser history, I found a scheduled appointment with a divorce lawyer. The next day. The worst was yet to come. Tiffany finally spilled the gossip circulating behind my back. We met for coffee, and I knew from her expression that she held damaging information. "Just get it over with," I urged. A sigh escaped her lips. "Look what you did on the trip. It wasn't right, not just because of the Austin thing. That post was designed to hurt Zachary." She tried to calm me. "No, you really did it," she said, looking at me as if I were blind to the truth. Her gaze held skepticism. Zachary had placed limits on our marriage, she pointed out. I had ignored them, like a tractor plowing through obstacles. Then I had humiliated him publicly. A picture of me at the beach with someone I had dated in the past. And, she added, raising an eyebrow, "I don't believe you never told Zachary about it. Your husband asked you not to go, and yet, there you are, hand in his hand, with a caption about who truly matters." It felt premeditated. I was speechless for the first time in ages. And then, there was the Austin incident. Kate had told everyone what she had seen, and now Austin was spreading the tale in the bar, telling everyone. "He's lying," I said, feeling my blood run cold. It was unlike me. Tiffany merely gave me that look of someone who doesn't need to say more. "Maybe," she said, "but people believe him, because of how you've acted. All those playful comments, inside jokes, the way I always put him first. He's my best friend," I whispered weakly. "Oh no," she replied, "I'm your best friend. As your best friend, I need to tell you you really messed up, and I don't know if it's fixable." On the way home, it dawned on me, a realization I'd been avoiding. People weren't on Zachary's side because they liked him more. They were on his side because this time, I was the wrong person in the story. swallowing this hurt more than anything. After a week of complete silence, I decided I needed to try to clean up the mess I'd made. I wasn't ready to admit I was wrong about everything, especially given his ultimatum, which was undeniably controlling. But I could see I'd crossed a line. I sent Zachary a message inviting him to dinner. To my surprise, he accepted. I spent hours getting ready, choosing an outfit I knew he'd love, the same one from our first wedding anniversary. I reserved a table at that Italian restaurant where we'd had our wedding rehearsal dinner. The idea was to revisit everything we'd built together. I practiced my speech in front of the mirror, remorseful but not excessively self-deprecating, just right. When he walked into the restaurant, my heart hammered. He was handsome, but with a tired look. He sat down across from me without even a greeting kiss. In that moment, I knew it wouldn't be easy. "I'm glad you wanted to talk," I began, forcing a smile. "I missed you," he simply acknowledged. "I missed you too," without further comment. "I want to apologize," I continued, extending my hand to take his. He allowed it, but his fingers remained stiff, unmoving. Things spiraled out of control at the beach. "The photo, thoughtless, and what happened with Austin?" he asked directly. I hesitated. "It was a mistake," I confessed. "I was drunk. I was upset about our fight. It meant nothing." "So you admit it happened?" His voice was calm, but his eyes hurt. "Yes," I said, "but it wasn't deliberate." I stumbled over my words. "We never truly flirted," he finished, pulling his hand back. "Paisley," he said, locking eyes with me, "if I had done exactly what you did to a friend, you would consider it betrayal." I wanted to say no, to avoid contradiction, but the truth was I would have been outraged, and he knew it. I deflected. "It's not about hypotheticals. It's about us, about our marriage. The marriage you put at risk because of a beach trip," he countered, cold, "or the marriage you exposed for the world to see. You, who gave me an ultimatum." I felt the calmness I'd meticulously crafted slipping away. "I asked you not to go on that trip because I was uncomfortable with your relationship with Austin. Just a trip," he sighed, exhausted. Instead of trying to understand my feelings, he turned it all into a power struggle. "Because deep down, you wanted to prove you weren't controlled." That sentence stung, because I knew there was a kernel of truth. I'd always prioritized Austin, placing his friendship above Zachary's feelings. I'd pushed boundaries, just to prove I could. I tried a new tactic. "I just want us to move forward," I said, softening my voice. I placed my hand on his thigh, gently sliding it upward, subtly suggesting I knew things weren't working. "I miss you. I miss us." But he firmly pushed my hand away. "Sex won't fix this. Paisley never did. Despite your attempts to use it as a magical solution." I felt as though he saw right through me, all the tricks I unwittingly employed. "What do you want from me?" I asked, near tears. "Accountability," he said simply. "I want you to truly understand why what you did was wrong. Not just for the trip, but for the pattern of disrespect that's always been there." I tried to hold back the tears. "You're only sorry because you got caught," he concluded, "not for the actions themselves." Following this, the dinner completely unraveled. I wavered between defending myself and begging, between desperate arguments and tears. In a moment of utter despair, I even said, "If you leave me because of this, I don't know what I'm capable of doing to myself." It was a tactic I'd used before, when feeling cornered, playing the hurt card to make him yield. But this time, he didn't fall for it. "Don't do that," he said firmly. "That's emotional manipulation, and we both know it." He placed the money from his account on the table and stood up. "I'm in therapy," he shared, "and my therapist is helping me see the patterns I've accepted for years." "So now some stranger is telling you to divorce me?" I spat bitterly. "No," he said calmly. "She's helping me see that I deserve a relationship built on mutual respect." He paused. "I filed for separation yesterday," he stated. "My lawyer will be in touch." With that, he left. I sat in that restaurant for a long time, staring into nothingness, trying to grasp how things had reached this point, how a weekend, a photo, a mistake could end 4 years of marriage. But deep down, I knew it wasn't just a single weekend. It was 100 small choices where I prioritized my own desires above our marriage. 100 times I tested limits, just to prove I could. It was 100 little moments when I favored Austin's friendship over Zachary's comfort.